There are moments in life when heaven feels closed. You pray, but there is no answer. You cry, but there is no comfort. You believe, but everything still falls apart. And the most painful part is not the problem itself. It is the silence of God. Because silence feels like rejection. Silence feels like abandonment. Silence feels like heaven has forgotten your name. But what if I told you that God's silence is not absence? What if the silence you fear the most is actually the space where the deepest miracles are being formed? There was a man in the Bible named Job, a man who prayed not once, but constantly. A man who feared God, a man who did everything right. Yet in one moment, he lost everything. His children died, his wealth vanished, his body became sick and broken, and God was silent. No explanation, no warning, no immediate rescue. Just silence. And Job did what most of us do. He started asking questions heaven did not answer. God, why me? God, where are you? God, what did I do to deserve this? But heaven remained quiet. And here is the mystery most people miss. God was not absent in Job's silence. God was present in a deeper way Job could not yet understand. Because sometimes God does not speak to explain your pain. He speaks after the pain has finished shaping you. Let's go deeper. Have you ever prayed the hardest when life is falling apart? You increase fasting. You increase tears. You increase church attendance. You even promise God things like, Lord, if you just fix this, I will never doubt you again. But instead of answers, things get worse. And you start thinking, maybe I am being punished. Maybe God is angry at me. Maybe I'm not spiritual enough. But here is a truth that will shock your spirit. Sometimes God is closest when he is silent. Because silence is not distance. Silence is formation. Think about a seed. When you plant it in the ground, nothing seems to happen. Days pass, weeks pass. The soil is dark. The seed is buried. From the outside, it looks dead. But underground, something powerful is happening. Roots are forming. And roots never grow in comfort. Roots grow in darkness. So what you call God is silent, he may be calling roots are forming. There is a reason why God does not always answer immediately. Because if he answered every prayer instantly, you would only know his hand, but never his heart. And God is not only interested in solving your problem, he is interested in shaping your spirit. Because answers can change your situation, but silence changes you. Let's talk about Jesus. Even Jesus experienced divine silence. On the cross, he cried out, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Even the Son of God entered a moment where heaven felt silent. But that silence was not rejection. It was fulfillment of a greater plan. Because what looked like abandonment was actually salvation in motion. So if Jesus himself walked through silence, why do we think we will escape it? Here is what most people misunderstand about prayer. They think prayer is about getting answers, but prayer is actually about alignment. Sometimes God does not change your situation because He is changing your direction. Sometimes He is not stopping the storm because He is teaching you how to walk through it. And sometimes silence is His way of saying, "Trust me even when you cannot trace me." There is a hidden danger in constant answered prayers. It creates dependency on results instead of relationship. But God wants something deeper than results. He wants trust that survives silence. Because faith that only works when God speaks is not mature faith. But faith that still stands when God is silent, that is transformation. Now listen carefully. God's silence is not empty. It is strategic. Because in silence, God is doing three things. He is removing distractions. He is building endurance. He is deepening dependence. And most importantly, He is preparing you for what you are praying for. Because not everything you pray for, you are ready to carry yet. Imagine asking God for a door to open. But behind that door is responsibility you have not yet developed strength for. If God opens it too early, it may destroy you. So sometimes silence is protection, not punishment. There is a verse that says, "Be still and know that I am God." Notice it does not say, "Be loud and know." It says, "Be still." Because stillness is where revelation happens. But most people panic in silence. They fill it with worry, overthinking, and emotional noise. And in doing so, they miss what God is doing quietly. Let me be honest with you. God's silence will test your identity. It will ask you, do you love me or just my blessings? Do you trust me or just my answers? Do you follow me or just what I give you? And this is where many people give up, because silence feels like rejection. But spiritually mature people learn something deeper. Silence is invitation to trust without evidence. Think about a teacher in an exam hall. When the exam starts, the teacher becomes silent, not because they left, but because they trust the training has already been given. If the teacher starts answering during the exam, learning stops. So silence is not absence of teaching, it is proof of preparation. And now, here is the turning point of this mystery. God is not ignoring you. He is working in ways you cannot yet interpret. Because if you could fully understand Him in the middle of the process, then faith would no longer be required. And without faith, there is no transformation. So what do you do when God is silent? You do not quit. You do not assume rejection. You do not stop praying. You stay. Because staying is also a form of faith. Sometimes the greatest prayer is not words, it is endurance. And one day, when the silence breaks, you will look back and understand. You will see why He did not answer immediately. You will see why the delay was necessary. You will see why the silence was part of the story. And you will say, "Now I understand. God was never silent. He was working." Because God's silence is never the end of the story. It is the beginning of revelation. And what feels like delay is often divine timing. So if you are praying the hardest right now and heaven feels quiet, do not panic. Do not lose faith. do not walk away. Because silence is not God saying no. Sometimes it is God saying, "Not yet. I am still building what you are asking for." And when the answer finally comes, you will not just receive what you prayed for. You will become someone who can carry it. And that is the real miracle.